What's up, everyone? Today we're going to try something a little different. We're going to do a podcast. It's kind of the first of a few that I want to do. I'm sitting here with a bunch of my buddies, and we're going to talk about a little bit about like the show scene and kind of like that part of our industry and the kind of vending, kind of a little bit around everything that kind of includes that. So hopefully you get something out of this video. If you have questions, comments, feel free to leave a comment below. I'll link everybody's information also in the description, all that stuff. So let me introduce you guys to everybody. This is Joe from SouthrnFresh. He's the creator, founder, all of the above. This is Daniel. He owns Swerv. It's a brand out of Orlando. This is Mike from Vossen. He's the creative director of Vossen. This is Roscoe. I Love Driving Slow, founder and creator of all the events and everything in between. So I have a couple questions, and we're just going to kind of go through, have a little conversation, and see how things go. So first convo, a little bit of the introduction to this is, what do you think makes a good event? Like car scene related, car related, just in general, what makes a good event that you guys would go to? Like what really brings it home for you guys?
I'd say organization, man. Organization is a very, very big thing. I can tell someone that planned an event a month in advance versus like 6 months to a year in advance. Organization.
Do you feel like on the organization side, do you prefer like someone who's organized on the roll-in side, or do you mean like throughout the whole event where they have a schedule of events, or how do you feel about that? Like, do you prefer someone to be like on a time frame, or? I
mean, for us, we have to be on a time frame because I have people helping, and to respect their time as well as the vendors' time and the patrons, like people that come out to the event, the venue's time. Most of these venues, if you stay hours after your event, you're paying for that. So we have to look at it in that sense. We have a budget that we have to stay within. So organization helps, in my opinion, to kind of stick to that. So roll-in is definitely part of the organization and the time schedule and the schedule.
Because I've always heard, from everybody, literally everybody's ever attended, Stance Nation's organization on roll-in has been always one of the highest points of their event that literally everyone talks about after the event.
Yep.
I mean, you guys have,
Yeah, same thing, organization, because, as soon as you walk in, you already know what's going down. Like, if you got to wait 2 hours to get in, and then as soon as you get in, people walk in the door, nobody set up, nobody knows where you're going. That sets a tone. Attendance is cool, everything, but you can't really help that,
Right.
Organization.
I would agree with organization as well. I have it from both sides, right? As a vendor, and some of the challenges as a vendor, you're paying money, and you have your people coming in from wherever you're flying in from sometimes. So it's important, as you stated, like to have things done correctly, because you can tell the difference between somebody that's not really organized compared to something that was like really well thought out. And even from the show standpoint, it's your brand, right? You're representing your brand, and you're hoping that people will be impressed to come back and be part of the show. Another thing I'm going to say too is I like positive vibes in shows. I can tell kind of instantly when I walk around, oh man, people are generally excited to be here, and they're not really talking smack too much, and you can see just the vibe. Whereas I've been to some shows and people are just negative.
It's funny you bring that up specifically, because I had a recent show that I did. I felt like it went very positive. Everything was really well done versus some of the shows that I've had that have almost turned into like, all out shit fest, really. Like, that's the easiest way to put it. And the most positive event I had was the least talked about. That literally caused no cross promotion for future events. Whereas something that had a bunch of drama was literally like the best promotion I've ever had as marketing.
Right.
That kind of goes, it's kind of a weird situation. Like, I've actually talked to somebody recently about doing, like, almost staging something crazy happening.
Right.
Like, literally like, this needs to happen for us to get talked about, so that from a marketing perspective, it sounds
drama
stupid.
makes for the best content.
It sounds stupid, but then like you really think about it and you're like, yeah, man, did that really need to happen for people to talk about my event for the following week that left the event, so I can cross promote for my future event or my future products or whatever else.
Yeah, it's like the news, right? 85% of the news is negative because people are watching it, they're into it. They'd rather watch somebody falling 50 stories than like somebody graduating with top honors, right?
Of course,
so,
of course.
Yeah.
So do you feel like, in terms of like good events, speaking on that still, like car quality of events, like, so let's say, would you prefer to go to an event where there are 50 of the best cars you've ever seen in your entire life, or would you rather go to an event with 500 of the most okay cars, like average, middle ground, like, or 500 is a small number, but like.
I would say
it's better to have more quality because I feel you will respect what's going on with the builds more.
Yeah.
When I go to a show, I don't look necessarily just at the cars. I look at everything that's going on with the cars. I look at the paint. I look at the interior. I look at whatever customizations that other people may not see, and the small finest details. Because for me, going to a car show, it gives me what's the word I'm looking for? Inspiration.
Yeah.
So it makes me like, okay, you know, I like this. I like that. And you take a mix and then you make up your own thing.
So I was gonna say something real quick. Like, so there's two different types of like. I think it also has like in terms of like the person who's throwing the event, like how they build their brand image, right? Mm-hmm. So like, let's say like Canopy, they do their first class fitment show. That's like a show that people want to go to throughout the year. It's a sought after event, but it's small. It's a small, like, you have to be the best of the best to get into that. Quality over quantity is like what they say. Mm-hmm. Versus something like what Clean Culture does at like one of their Import Expo shows where they have burnouts, two-step, and craziness. You get the two sides of the spectrum where people have a great time at both events. Mm-hmm. So like, do you think that has a lot to do with brand image as well? Or
but before we get off this point, I like what he says as far as quality. And I love nice cars, but you know, being diverse in attending different types of events, you learn. Like for example, in the mini truck, in the mini truck culture, they bring out their cars in progress. Sorry, and when they bring these cars out, in my opinion, that's more inspiring than anything, because you know, someone that's like about to body drop the car, and they're showing you like how they have to extend the inside, like so the wheel goes all the way, you know, or cut the inside so the wheel goes all the way in when they air out. Like that type of stuff for me is more interesting than going and seeing a bunch of cars that are like at their highest that the person's probably going to turn around next month and sell.
I guess for me, it's coming from living in California, going to lowrider shows.
Cali guy, look at it all.
It's a whole different spectrum.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So when you go and see those cars, like these dudes put every single little thing, nut and cranny on their car to a whole different standard.
Okay. I mean, nothing against that, but I like variety. I don't want to just see that.
Oh, no. I mean, I guess for me, I love all shows, regardless, whatever. But if I could pick a show to go to, it would be quality first, and then the craziness second. Mainly because that's what I like being around, and then I'll go to the show. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not
knocking that, but his question. He compared two events, he compared two events, I'll just say that. One event that's only quality, right? So I go in there and I look at 100 cars, which I could do in like 30 minutes, and that's it. I'm ready to go. So, right? But I go to another event, like, you know, the other event, there's about probably the same number of nice cars, but it's assorted. There's a lot of like in-progress builds around that. That's what I call them. They may not have the best wheels, the best paint, and all the best parts, but they're either on their way there, you know? Now, if you take that car and you put that in your showcase, there's a big problem with that, because that car shouldn't be there, in my opinion. But the car should be in the conversation. So
you compare like a Week Fest, and then it's two totally different. I'll go to Week Fest, but 9 times out of 10, I've seen every car already. They're great, they're boring to me.
Yeah,
I already know what it is. I go to IA, I'll find that dude who's building the Integra
that doesn't even have a Facebook,
and it's perfect, and I'll shoot it or whatever, people see it, and then like that's the new car or whatever. Like I like finding those other cars. I go to IA because of that. Or Week Fest, I go to see what I already know. But you know, it's
you just go for
it's a little different. You know, and I kind of get bored.
You gotta have both.
Yeah.
So let's compare. You said Clean Culture and Stand Station.
Not Clean Culture.
Just a style.
Main event. Because Clean Culture does have events where they're just quality only.
All right.
I'm talking about the specific Clean Culture event, like what just passed in Orlando was like burnouts, a two-step contest, rolling in and out.
It's like a big meet.
Yeah, exactly.
But with trophies, basically, essentially, at the end of it.
So the Stand Station event that they had down in Palm Beach, perfect event.
If they opened it to the public and they had a showcase and everyone else, in my opinion, that event would be probably 3 times the size. They're not looking at numbers, and I can understand that. That's not what they want. They want just the quality, and I respect that. But I still think the other people still need somewhat. That's the education piece. That's what's hurting the community right now.
And from a vendor standpoint too, right? So vendors and we spend significant amounts of money to get to the event, and you obviously want to promote your product. And yeah, we kind of look at, because I think one of the issues with the quality shows, okay, like you said, after about 30 minutes,
right,
you're done walking around, right? And next thing you know, for the next 6 hours, you're kind of just
I also feel like we don't make money at those shows.
No.
Oh,
I mean, without just being being open
can we talk about that one? Like, honestly, man, I bottle it up because I like good PR. I like my brand to just be the brand. I don't want it to be what Roscoe thinks, because if you want to know what I think,
we're gonna get into that after,
bro.
Too. Like, I have a good part of that,
That when we get to that question, I would say this: when it comes to making money at an event, you have to look at two spectrums. Like, how many eyes and ears came to your, how many eyes and ears learned about your brand, and then what did I sell?
like you have a good positive presentation and everything.
All that.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that.
Really quickly, in the middle of speaking of what a good show is, what's the best length of a show for you? Like where do you feel like you're happy?
4 hours.
4 hours.
4 hour show?
The Florida sweet spot is 11 to 4. That's the sweet spot in Florida. I've learned it, and I would say because people get there early, right, and then they get out. And in Florida, you have from Miami to Orlando 3 hours, from Tampa to Miami 3 hours, from Jacksonville to Tampa about 3 hours or something like that. So these guys want to come to the event and leave the same day and drive back home. Not everyone wants to come out and get a hotel and make a weekend out of it. So when you have an event that runs on and on and on and on and on and on, like, it just doesn't.
Do you feel like that's just enough time to give everybody just enough to want more for the next event?
I don't think I look at it as, as a host. I don't look at it as that. Like, I don't leave cliffhangers at my events personally. I want you to come, see the build up, have a great experience. Like, I plan it like a movie almost. Like, your rise in action, your climax, fall in action. Like, I do my events like that.
It's a good look at.
So that, it's hopefully there's a change. Like, unless I do a meet, like Cars and Beaches is just okay.
I mean, my events I go into and I'm like, just please, no one die, nothing bad happen. Let me just go home.
Yeah.
That's it. That's my life.
Yeah, I think 4 hours is good, man, because you got to also add the time that you have to set up. Like, that time, I feel for some event hosts, they overlook that. So they show up and everything's set up and they're like, okay, let's stay 6 hours. No, bro, we spent 4 hours getting here. We sat here for 4 hours. And then 2 hours in, people leave because you only have 200 cars. And then we're sitting here 2 hours trying to get out of here. And then you add another 3 hours for a freaking ceremony. And I'm like, bro, come on, man.
So then how do you feel about after meets? Does that drive you guys crazy?
Well, before we jump into that, to me, it depends on how good the show is.
Yeah.
Because to me, if you're having a good time, you're not checking your watch, you're not checking anything, and next thing you know, it's 10 hours later, you're like, wow, I had a blast.
That's the entertainment piece that we didn't talk about yet. And we'll get there.
So I think it depends on that. And I've been to some shows as well where after 2 hours, or I'm like, man,
I've been to shows where
let me Uber and come back.
After getting my car to run out of gas to get into the show, I basically fell asleep in the car. I was like, I'm in the front seat, my girlfriend's in the back seat,
so
my buddy's behind the car somewhere on the ground, you know what I mean? There's been shows where we run out of energy before you even get to the venue, you know what I mean? Or get to the actual beginning of the show.
But the longest show I think I've been running on is Import Fest, which is in Toronto, and I love the show. And every year we go to the show, and we know that not only we flying up from Miami to Toronto, we got to get all the logistics of that done. This show is, I think he moved it earlier. It's 11 to 11. It's a 12-hour show.
Yeah.
But it's amazing that even at 10 o'clock, there's a line of people coming in because I guess the culture there, the people are just Do
you also feel like that there's a lack of shows up there in comparison to what we have down here? In the whole South, from where we are.
It's a weather thing, right?
Yeah.
So they got to go hard only 4 or 5 months of the year. That's it. And otherwise, those cars are done. They're gone. Yeah. So I think it's a culture thing. I got to come out because
we have that benefit of literally driving year round, doing crazy stuff year round, and having a variety of events. He throws 3 different events that are polar, whatever. The Cars and Beaches event where you go out and hang out, in the sun. Then you have the event where it's the showcase, and
it's all on location though, because Simply Clean. That feels like a 3-day event almost. And it's more so driving to the event. go like getting with your people,
Then the
going to
pre-meet.
the event, getting a hotel, hanging out, eating, chilling. Go to the show, you're really just resting, and then it's over, and you go back and continue to hang,
craziness.
and then you go home. You know, that's what it kind of feels like.
Since you brought that one up, you asked about after.
Well, I was gonna say their reasoning for pre-meets. I was just gonna throw that in there.
Okay, yeah.
Their reasoning for pre-meets is they throw a pre-meet intentionally to keep people away from their venue, which we've all struggled with, where people literally line up to get in the venue first.
Yeah.
They throw a pre-meet intentionally to keep people away, and then their
Yeah.
after meets are separate. Where their after meets, you know, some of their after meets are like donut shop that went down or whatever. That was really good. Even though it turned into like a mini Florida H2O, it was still a good experience for showgoers that aren't necessarily core enthusiasts, but like car enthusiasts. Which I like. You have to separate the two, because like a core enthusiast is someone that I'm only into real wheels, I'm only into real parts, I want my car to look a certain way, I want to be trendy, I'm in the Facebook groups, I'm in the forums, and then there's like the car enthusiast who's like, oh sick, those are cool rims. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like that's a thing, like, you know, so.
I was gonna say, based on your after meet thing, I mean, as a host, if I find out that people leave my event early to go to an after meet, that's like a slap in my face. Like, yo, I didn't do a good job to keep you guys here until the end of the event. But I do see the purpose of it, but most of the times I'm vending at an event like Simply Clean, I don't have the time. I really don't have the time to go do that. So I really don't know, you know, it is like a new thing for me at least. I mean, at So I don't think it was like a meet where after the meet you go to another meet. It's just like all day thing. So
I think it's people still excited.
I mean, you guys
they still hyped up. They just want to do something.
Yeah, especially if you come from out of town, right?
It's exciting.
Yeah, but if you carried on Simply Clean a couple more hours to, like, I guess, you know, help that particular high, it wouldn't.
And in Georgia, they'll meet up, pre-meet, cruise, pre-meet, go to the meet, after party, and shoot cars. I'm like, man, I'm going home. I look later like that's you know, like, right?
Yeah. No, real talk.
I mean, I like it. Like if they're doing a SouthrnFresh pre-meet, I'm like, all right, good. Everybody's happy. If you see that, you know, people are excited, and it kind of gathers. But then some people get worn out. They're like, I don't know where the meet is. I thought it was at BP gas station. It's like, nah, man.
I think that's one of the negatives about. It's a great thing social media wise where people can link up so often, so much, but sometimes it gets to be too much to me. And then it's drawing people this way, that way, this way, and then it's like you just said it, like you can't do every single thing.
One year, last year,
and you gotta pick and choose, right?
We were doing a preview for somebody, and I didn't say that, but we did for somebody. And then I was like, all right, official preview. And then next thing you know, there's another one. I was like, dang, it's two official previews.
You don't want to be on that.
I was like, dang, what happened? Right. We're having ours. I was like, dang, what happened?
I mean, that's a big thing in the culture itself. Like for the longest, I always looked at it like, you know, you have me in Tampa, you have Ravi and, you know, Nick in Orlando, and we all try to do something different. Yeah. We always try to do something different. Like Ravi's the guy. Let's do the first event on the moon. I'm over here like, hey, let's do it in Mars, but like, let's make it hot, you know, like whatever. And then you have Nick like, that just does his thing over there. And I feel like as we did those things, like we grew a culture for Florida that was like everyone got love, but like everyone got their own thing. So like you made that example when you did your pre-meet, and now there's like 3 or 4 other pop up.
Stop doing it.
That makes me not want to do it because now I feel like, man, I don't have to do that. They're already doing that.
There has to be a certain, like if it's somebody I know saw that, all right, we got it.
So do you think that hurts you as a vendor if there's too many pre-meets or after meets?
It definitely hurts us as a vendor. Way too many events. I think way too many meets or events where there's vendors.
Or take control of it. It's
now saturated. You know. Now I really have, as a vendor, I have to really pick and choose where I want to spend.
Because then you don't have merch to
or just make sure you take control of it. If somebody's holding your pre-meet, say, look, it needs to be this way, this time. You're the one. That's it.
There's a lack of leadership in that community of like pre-meets and after meets. Essentially, no one has control over them. Like no one's saying like, yeah, you can't stop anybody. But at the same time, from like a business perspective of where we all stand, like we need to make money for our brands also. Where we're like, yo, like this needs to be here X, Y, and Z. And when they go to a pre-meet, they're like, I already saw everything for free. Tell me the event.
Yeah.
Or they go to the after meet. Well, I'll just wait till after the show and I'll go to this after meet. You know, like. It's just a weird place that you're kind of in, but like so then it kind of leads me to my next question what I have on the sheet here is how does someone convince you guys to come to their event? Like how does someone convince you to be a vendor at their event?
That's a good question.
Location, it's the brand because you got to know who's gonna spend, what kind of following they have, and just the idea and time. I mean, it's a lot of little stuff. You don't want to like push somebody away because they're not big enough, and then you also want to support. You want to support everybody, but then you don't want to waste time, and you know. But it's tough, man.
He deals with it really badly in terms of expense, but like me and Daniel deal with it on like a car's working to get into like organization, getting places, and then you guys come up from Miami to where or Atlanta down, or from like in that aspect, like.
So the question is like, how do I?
Like, how does someone convince you to come to their event and be a vendor, like, or a sponsor? Like, what's their what do they need to tell you for you to be like, yo, I'm here?
For me, it's all about approach. You know, I think respect. I would say Elvis, when he was coming to Florida to do his first event, he reached out to me, and you know, it's communication, bro. That's it. Like, I'm never too big or never too small. Like, you come to me as a man. Hey, man.
I saw that recently happen in a recent event, like just speaking on specifically that. I saw that happen in a recent event, and instead of reaching out to the local community of car leaders, I mean, there's essentially car leaders in every community or area.
Correct.
You know, you're like one of the main dudes in Atlanta, like one dude's over here, you're the main dude in Tampa, like whatever. They came to Orlando, and instead of reaching out to the local community, they jumped to the YouTubers, who literally have no pull anywhere in the community. They don't have any say, anything. They have a core audience that doesn't exist here.
Right.
Like, I mean, sure, there's like a few kids or whatever that follow them, but they're not the same audience. And they went after those kids because of numbers. They looked at numbers and they didn't look at actual community effort. And I watched it fail. I mean, that's essentially what happened. We all watched it fail. I mean, without sounding like, you know, cynical or anything, we kind of knew it was going to happen. We kind of watched from afar, like, they left us out, so we'll leave them out. You know, like it almost went that way.
Great points by both of you. It happened. Elvis did the same thing in Atlanta.
Yeah.
You know, so we met at the Toyo Tires. There was an event they were hosting together.
Yeah.
He was like, "What do you think about an event in Atlanta?" And, you know, I was like, "Yo, you know, we would support it. I think Joseph knows all about it."
Yeah.
And he did. He proposed Joseph. We chatted. You know, a few other people, and then we did end up supporting it. And I had pulled out from a lot of shows, but I said, you know what? I can't. Honestly, I was kind of shocked. I'm like, wow, that was really respectful. And, you know, let me give it a shot. It fell on a good weekend. But there's like this year in Atlanta, all of a sudden there's like, I swear, 5, 6, 7 shows. And I'm like, and I'm like, hold up. I don't, you know, I don't remember opening these dates.
So I know you're the guy that we talk to all the time on the internet who posts all the funny sponsorship stuff.
Right.
But how does someone approach you to get you involved in their event? Like, what would they have to sell
That's
you?
a very good question. I mean, we've chat. Like, I've never officially done this event, but I want to. It's just always been a bad weekend. But his approach, I cannot stress enough. I'm older. I'm probably older head. I'm 40.
We're all.
But I cannot stress enough.
Yeah, right.
Networking, respect, and really presenting. It's not about me, you know, technically paying you. It's like what's the benefit? What's the real benefit? You know, right? And a lot of people don't do that correctly. They send me a sponsorship packet. They all look the same.
Right.
All the prices from concern is too high, and they're like, "Let me know a response." And I'm like, I don't even know you. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes it takes 2, 3, 4. It could take 5 years, and then finally things click, and it's like, wow, let's do it. You know? And so I think that more than everything is a relationship and buying pizza.
I definitely agree with
Buy
Roscoe.
some pizza. It's a good chance I'm gonna be at your event.
With Roscoe and Mike, as far as communication, planning, and time, the timing has to line up right. So those are probably some of the biggest key things.
I mean, both of you guys are known for bringing out huge groups of cars with yourselves. So what would get you to organize and bring out the most amount of Swerve cars with you? Bannered up, ready to go.
Location is probably the biggest thing, because depending on where.
Do you want them to cater to you as far as location at the event, or just you mean event location?
Location, well, kind of both, I would say. Location at the event and location where the event is. Location at the event, because if I'm gonna bring 7 to 8 cars out, I want to make sure that, hey, you know what, we're in a good spot, not all the way in the back of wherever. But at the same time, location of the event, because some people, cars may make it, some people cars may not make it. Some people cars say, hey, you know what, Miami's too far for me to drive static. So it could be a little bit both.
I mean, just hearing the answers and stuff, I would say another thing too. If the person's message is a very genuine message, But don't come to me and tell me it's a charitable event, and then I can clearly see you're making like a great amount of money.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if you joke, like I always quote Nick. I had a straightforward conversation with him, clean culture. I was like, yo, how are you moving around so fast or whatever? You know, going here and there and everywhere. We had that man to man. He's like, look, man, you know, honestly, you know, I would love to do this full time. This is my moneymaker.
Right.
And the way he communicated that with me, and I'm very, very straight up type of dude. Like when you tell me some stuff and it's facts, which he did, I was like, man, yo, I can't, you know, can't hold you back on that, because as it is, you mentioned exactly what you're doing straight up, and I'm like, people are like, oh, they're just trying to make money. I mean, like most of these companies are out there doing the same.
But I've turned down plenty of opportunities where it was just money related.
Yeah.
Like people are like, you have a whole bunch of people that show up to your event. Let me show you how to make money, and I've literally said no. I've just been like, it's for the culture.
Well, I think like I'm Joseph. We know each other with God forever, 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
So I remember Joseph when he first, starting out. Yeah. And we always chatted, and I could tell, and you make a good point, you could tell how genuine he was.
Right.
And he's passionate about it. And I think in that situation, he's going to try so hard to make things happen, right? That's what you guys are doing, right? It's so passionate that the money obviously is part of the process, right? Obviously, you're a business, you're trying to make money, but that's not the first thing you want people happy first, you know? And I remember Joseph's first meets were very small, but I didn't care. I was like, yo, I'm going to support it because, you mean well, you know?
Well, I'm not throwing him on the bus. Like I said, he explained it to me in a way that was convincing enough to say, yo, I respect your hustle. You know what I mean? Not for nothing, it's very easy to do a car event, but that repeated business is what's hard.
The marketing, and
getting it to come back and have it again.
I think
it's like you were saying, like back ago, it was just made to, bring stuff to the light, like show, because there was nobody coming to Atlanta, nobody doing this, so this is what we got. If you like it, this is what we're working on right now. But then later on, you see like last 2 years, everybody's coming to Atlanta to have shows. Then I'm like, well, you don't have to talk to me.
Right.
If you do, it's cool. I'll come to SORCERY because I want to put certain stuff in the forefront. Right. Make sure you see it, not just the junk.
Like the gatekeeper.
Yeah, I just want to make sure it's represented properly. If it's not, well, it is what it is. Because I don't want to. It's too much invested to just let whatever happen.
I got you.
I'll say one thing before I even jumped into this whole Swerv thing. I used to watch your meets and your meets on the screen, from home. I'm like,
from California.
Yeah, from Cali. I'm like, what is mystery meat? And it's this craziness going on. I'm like, what's Olive driving slow? And there was a guy. He has a G35, I think. I think he's going 2J now. Before he was in faction. Yeah. We used to communicate. We had the same wheels. We had the same. I can't remember mention the company. Yeah. But we used to always just talk, and I'm like, what are these guys doing out there? And the year before I moved out here, I think was when you had the last downtown meet, and I was just like, I have to go. There's no freaking way. I wasn't even thinking about Swerv as a brand. I need to be there. And then when I seen the I Love Driving Slow, just the pictures, the quality of the content, I'm like, all right, you know what, whatever, I have to be there. And then when you guys reach out to me hey, we want you to be there, I was just like, yo, low key, it's kind of like a dream come true, you know what I mean? From going from looking at it to actually being there, and then both of you guys being humble about it, that's a big thing, as far as, like you said,
coming to management. To come to my event.
Exactly, that stuff.
And what's really funny though, and this is a kind of a small detail that I think a lot of people overlook, but when people speak on iconic events, like the H2O, the SOO, the mystery meat, the whatever, whatever it is.
Make mystery meat great again.
Sorry for throwing my own name in there. Right? I didn't mean to be cool, whatever. In terms of iconic stuff that has really left a major impact in the community. All of those events are outdoor events. All the events that really set the precedent, that really make people inspired to build a car to show up to. People show up to H2O even though the show's not going on just for the publicity of social media, but it's an outdoor related event. Rain, shine, hurricane, dying, whatever.
It started low key, Volkswagen, community, tight community, and then it grew. It got crazy.
So
you gotta be careful because
Volkswagen people hate everybody. It is.
Be careful.
I've been there. I had a Jetta. I had a built Jetta. I understand. I was a part of the community.
I respect them.
Yeah, you know, but they have a core following that's very strong. Like, like they don't want.
They're humble.
They almost don't want outsiders. Like it's a funny thing to say. Like, and
I wish I could get more.
We see that. I see that problem in a lot of communities in general, where like I was arguing with a kid the other day on the internet. I mean, literally about this, and it sounds stupid, but like people want to be exclusive. They want to be core. They want to feel like they're part of an elite, or they knew something before everyone else knew about it. Like they want to be like when Hoonigan was sold at Zoomies. The amount of people that had backlash against Hoonigan, they were like, "Oh, you're selling out. You're selling out." And these dudes are like, "Yo, like we're just trying to stay in business." And what eventually came about was they launched their YouTube, and they really blew up on YouTube. So they really don't need Zoomies anymore. Like they were exploring their avenues of how to stay afloat.
Well, I think it's a common respect thing, common sense thing. I've been throwing Lexus meets since forever, and it's always curious to me. Like, yeah, it's inclusive. Technically, right? I'm not gonna tell you not to come, right?
Right.
But obviously, it's revolving around a specific brand, and then you have those people that don't have one, and then they park their car like right in the front, and you're sitting there like, bro, like, are you serious? Like, and I think that's what happened with H2O. I think and Soho, because people weren't really going to support the community; they were just going for them. Well, let me bring my whatever car out here, and I want to do burnouts too. And
when I heard about Soho, like right as it was starting to peak, it was a lot of Volkswagen guys that just didn't want to drive their Volkswagens there. Like they were like, "Oh, it's too far. I'm literally going to hang out in a cabin and drink with my buddies."
Right.
Yeah.
And drinking with their buddies kind of trickled out into the street to where people were doing like burnouts and like whatever in front of their cabins. And then that became like a central. There was like that central hotel where everybody wanted to do the craziness. And it wasn't necessarily like Volkswagen enthusiasts. Then it became like their buddy who came with their buddy who had
From what I learned, what I learned is like the original Soho crew left a long time ago.
Yeah.
And then I guess Matt jumped in and kind of took over it. But Matt, I didn't know Matt was hosting events all over, Nancy Bounds.
Right.
Which I went to his event in New Orleans, which was a great, like one of the best, but nobody really. It was nobody there.
I heard the venue was amazing.
It's like the best show I ever been to, but nobody was there. And then he stopped hosting it because it's at New Orleans Motorsports Park.
Yeah.
Oh, Nola.
But it was perfect. But I was like, if he pushes that, that could be the best. But then it kind of just.
That's what I like. Cause I had like BC Racing, for instance, went up there and they were a major supporter of it.
Yeah.
And they were like, the event was fantastic, but there were literally no foot traffic. There was nobody that attended the event. So I mean, that comes down to another like point, which is like another one of my like kind of questions I had laid out. How do you feel about the social media promotion? Like, do you feel like that's like social media is becoming such a major thing, like in terms of promoting all of our events and everything that we do brand wise, like. Where do you feel like is the best place now? Like, what do you think is going to be the best impact? Like, or does everybody have their specifics? Like,
I'll say this: when I first started doing events, I had someone that pretty much meant a mentor, and he was like, make sure you're very punctual. Send emails, do follow-ups, that kind of thing. Nowadays, you're hitting up these people on Instagram, in DMs and stuff like that, and they're responding in the DMs faster than Twitter. You tell me all the time, if you have an issue, hit them up on Twitter.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. You resolve problems on Twitter.
So that's the culture that I guess the professional culture itself is changing. And I would also say too, like, you can't give up on doing your flyers. Like flyers, like for Winterfest, we make flyers. It's our biggest event. We have to do flyers, like, because there's people, believe it or not, that don't have Facebooks.
That worked for like the general. If you want general admission
shops
flyers
and everything.
Yeah, flyers.
I don't do flyers for. I have like, so initially when I did the mystery meet, like the first one, we made these elaborate custom like 3D. Like we were inspired by this dude in like the photography art community that he was doing these crazy things, and we did it.
Yeah.
We never printed a single flyer, and the event went from literally like 5,000 cars to 100,000 people without ever printing a single flyer. Yeah. And everybody would ask, and I was like, "No, man, we're not wasting money on that." Like, everything had been so budget friendly, like that we done it, but like we did it all through Facebook. Everything went through Facebook.
But that was a couple of years back.
Yeah.
Now, the Facebook ads, like we have to spend a decent amount of money for our own following to see.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's
Facebook event pages used to be, if you had 2,000 people say they're coming, you get 4,000.
Right,
easy.
Of course.
Now you see 300 people going, but 2,000 show up. But that's from other, it does represent. You see interested be
that
10
stupid
million.
interested button.
I need to get rid of that.
I'm like, what? Really?
I hate that interested button. Because people are like, interested. I'm like,
No,
Why don't you just press go?
It's more
like one of my faction members at our own event says interested.
It's a reminder.
I hit him up. I'm like, bro.
No, you don't want to disrespect.
Like, what are you doing?
I might come. Yeah. Well, I ain't trying to see no maybes. I need to just keep going. I need some commitment in my life, you know.
Yeah.
It makes you feel so much better when it's like when you see numbers. Like it sounds stupid, but like numbers not only mean a lot to like sponsors, but they mean a lot to like the motivation of putting more effort to the event.
But there are a lot of people. I feel like now they wait to the event.
Oh, of course.
The day of,
but like,
they look, see how.
I'm one of those. I'm
go.
low-key one of those.
But like
people too.
based on what you just said though, let me ask you, Mike. You know, you got people hitting you up. Hey man, I got 20,000 people on Instagram. Yo, sponsor my event or sponsor whatever.
Yeah,
All right, very good question.
I mean, like they could have 20,000 people in a different country or something. It doesn't make it.
I got a homeboy that's like my likes don't look good. Pay $1, 100 likes up.
That's a very good question. I get those DMs, Twitter, email. It's insane. Then people find my personal page. I get text messages, my phone number. It's and I'm like, wow. So it's a very good question. One is, I guess they approach maybe some other companies and maybe they're not so astute, and maybe they're getting offers, whereas I can figure out within like 10 minutes, where your mom lives, and then what she drives and how truthful are you, right? And if you bought your followers or whatever. So you look at engagement, you look at comments. 20,000 followers and doesn't mean anything, I'll be honest, nowadays, right? So it's about, I always say it's two different things. It's influence and exposure. And there's some cases where it might be a situation where, like, all right, it's an exposure car or situation where a lot of people are going to see it, but we're probably not going to sell much. Whereas I prefer influence, right? Somebody that, it's funny, I talked to my wife has like an RX 350 F Sport. You don't even think of this car, right? Nobody's bringing it to a car show. But she's more influential because she drives and people see the car and then she's like, Mike's another person wants me to buy wheels. And I'm like, believe it or not, you're an influencer at this point, because people are calling you and seeing you. And she's like, yeah, I can't believe it, right? So I think that's something that people really need to understand. Like, it's not just about your numbers, right? Yeah. And 20 and 50 and 100, it's your influence, because you could have 10 followers, and if 10 people are buying a product, that's way more valuable to me than 100,000.
That kind of falls into like that Instagram model category, like where there's like girls who are on social media that have huge numbers that can't sell anything.
Right.
Like they literally get likes for like their visual appearance. But they don't influence. They don't have a power over anybody.
But you can look at somebody's page and see.
Yeah.
It's like you'll see ads, body. Ads. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't. But they have millions of views, but it's not really.
But a perfect example is Diego. Diego's always been a Nissan guy, always been an Infinity guy. Yeah. And what people don't understand too, it kind of alludes to what you're saying. Before he joined Vossen, his name on forums was like Vossen G37. So I can't say that enough. Everyone else will probably get the sponsorships or whatever, but he was already passionate about the brand, right? So he starts working for us, whatever he did or says or buys, not even just wheels, suspension, tent, whatever the hell he's doing, people do it. So unfortunately, somebody wrecked his GTR and he had this, parked. It was parked. Sorry, Diego.
Was it a Mustang?
You get to see there, he's like, it's cool, whatever, and he ends up getting a GT350. And I was a little concerned from a marketing perspective.
Right.
It's all coming together. Sorry, so that's all. And I'm like, man, really, Diego? This is totally, you're losing your base, Is this where you want to go? Yeah. And I really fully understand how influential this man is. Overnight, GT350 owners are calling, we want wheels. Diego, I saw your setup. I saw this, I saw that. And he's literally just posting on Instagram and Facebook. And
just a solid group.
Yeah, and I'm just like, okay, that's legit.
That's the difference between influence and numbers.
Right.
Well, and like impressions versus reach, what I mean? Like, impressions just people seeing the thing. So.
Yeah, I know you didn't say this, but I guess I could put this out there for anybody. I think any sponsor I reach out to, it's avid that I do my research and I make sure that whatever my package offer is, it should somewhat line up with your marketing strategy. And if it lines up, then at that point you have a better a better option than making that decision to sponsor what I'm doing or be a part of this event because we're aligned.
You mean to tell me you don't just group DM everybody together? And then like, dear who we make it to, who we make it to?
We get those all the time. We even get event packages and the wrong name is on the package and you're like, why would I even consider? You didn't even take the time.
Hello, fam.
You know.
So sponsor ID.
No, we chat on Facebook all the time, actually, and it's always because we usually do the Essence show. But I think I'll find a way to say, you know what, let's make something happen, and it goes back to relationships and just it's not about a sponsor package. It's not about how pretty my PowerPoint presentation is. You know, it's
I like
even keep it one page. Like it's like
please.
I kind of like the show.
Still downloading. You're like what?
Like the show improve piece. Like if somebody doesn't, you reach out to somebody on the show. Like, okay, you do your thing. And next you're like, hey man, what's up? How can we be a part? You know, that's better because then once they're like, oh, we need to go do that.
And another thing that I look at is I want to know who your other vendors are, right?
Yeah, see who's coming. Yeah, that's true.
I don't want to walk around as a bunch of other wheels that look like my wheels, and they're copying everything I'm doing, and then now I'm there, and then taking. I have literally gone to a show. And then I call them Payless wheels, you know. These companies that they're not really original. And I'm not knocking whatever, but they basically follow our blueprint and try to do whatever they do.
That's what.
And next thing I know, their models have the same color dress at the next show. You know, their booth colors are the same, and I'm just like, So that kind of, from a vendor standpoint, I'm like, why would I come? Because I'm literally just feeding you more ideas. SEMA, if you notice, like Vosson's, like everybody's like, y'all don't even do SEMA, or we do something off site at the hotel or the walls.
Because then you control it.
Because you can control it because there's so much thievery going on and people stealing our vendors. As a vendor, for that, this is the biggest trade show in the world.
Yeah.
And we're kind of like.
I mean, I've seen people walk around, take measures and cameras,
Absolutely
measuring, and they're like, "Yep, this is going home with us."
So my recommendation too, for shows and events, you kind of gotta. I understand people have to make money, but I always tell people how important it is with your branding. And who you're working with and who you're aligning with, and it raises the stakes, for you. And you can honestly, from a business standpoint, you can charge more. You can say these people are here compared to these people, right?
I'll say that. I mean, we're talking about wheels, but like on fresh in my mind, at any given car event in Florida, they might be like 5 vinyl vendors,
right?
And you're like, it's such a small overhead for them to run that business. Yeah, but then if you have 5 vinyl vendors and everyone's undercutting everyone, like it's not a good experience. So like for us, we've started to kind of tailor, hey man, we got 2 vinyl vendors. We're gonna put them on one over there and one over there. And then what kills me, even being an owner of a screen printing company, t-shirts is another commodity. Like everyone has t-shirts. So if I put you over here and I put this guy over here and you both selling t-shirts, his price point is 15, yours is 20. So and you see, and that's slowly deteriorating the vendors, period, because I know what I sell, and I have a strong idea of what the other person sell, and they just have a different name, and that right there, that makes that $400 vendor fee hard to bite, because at that point you're like, yo, am I even gonna get this back? Right. But then I put it out there for vendors, presentation, organization on the vendor side, like are you showing up on time? Are you setting up properly? If I put you up front, are you going to be there, or do we have to wait an hour for you to show up? That kind of stuff. I think all that matters too, because if you just have a tent and a sticker and no type of display or organization of how you lay out your stuff, good luck selling anything.
So I mean, like in that sense, like what makes a good brand? Like what sells you on like a brand? If you didn't know somebody, you walked into a show, like this is their first time vending. What's the first thing that'll pull you into them?
I think your brand is as good as your entourage. Like who's around you and representing you.
Right.
Like any of my faction members.
Damn, now I need to get friends.
Any of my faction members should be able to explain my brand better than the best fan. Like they should be repping the brand just as hard as me.
The brown R6. That's the first car coming out.
I
don't even know who he is, but I know. Yeah. Oh, Roscoe, faction, brown car. Big turbo. Let me take a picture because that's the one.
And it's like, and I learned earlier on doing this, man. Like, I was into modding my car, wanted to make the car faster, do all this other stuff. And as I started to get more involved in doing this brand, it became about the brand and not about me. Like, I had to put me in the backseat for a little bit and work on the brand. So like my wife, man, like that organization stuff I was talking about, I'm not the best at it. My wife is the best at that. So like our boot is tailored based on whatever she puts together as far as how she wants the hats to sit on the table, and all that I think helps.
I had
So,
my
aspects.
like when I had the Mazda. That was me. I love my Mazda stuff. I had it. I was working. I was like, man, let me get a car for the show. I mean, for the brand, whatever, and do that. Then I was like, why?
It's hard to do both.
Yeah, I was like, I'm spending so much money on the car. I
level.
spent so much money on the car. It was great, and my Mazda friends loved it. And I was like, man, I can't do both, man.
Yeah,
it's too much. And then but what you're saying about the brand, you kind of look at it. I always check people out. Like if I see somebody selling a table full of stickers, I'll go on its look and just see like it's something just threw up together or whatever. You're like, all right, I know where this comes from because we all sell shirts.
Yeah,
we all know what it is. Like I was at the Sebring yesterday, and I was telling Stacy about the shirt, like the Gildens and the whatever. And I was like, man, I can't buy this thing. But then it doesn't matter to them. It doesn't matter. But for us, like because you'll see them again. Like you give them, you sell them a shirt, and like. Next show, like, man, my shirt's shrunk. And then I'm like, I know it would.
I include washing instructions on these.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of, everybody, you already know what's.
Yeah.
We all know, like, we know what.
Quality, I guess, the same energy you put into building and picking cars in your show is the same energy and quality you got to put into your brand. That's it. Yeah. Because, if I'm out here trying to say, yo, come to my show, your car's not worthy, like, I have to make sure that my brand is at that tier too.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So then what, as a recommendation for people watching that are getting into this, what's a really good starter merch? Like, what merchandise do you think is good starter material for somebody to get into the game? Like
content.
My first merch, because I'll put it out there again, my brand was started on the forum. It was just like, I love driving slow when driving down the interstate, volume down low, whatever. Yeah. Right? So it was like one of those threads. That's how my brand actually originally started. So the first merch for us was at the very cheapest price point, which was a sticker, right? Personally, I hate having a million stickers on my car. So the next thing we made was a plate frame.
That's what I knew you from plate frames.
Correct. And the plate frame was a little funnier or whatever. Get mad, I love driving slow, whatever. And then from the plate frame, we went into shirts. And then when my girlfriend at the time, wife now, got involved, she's like, yo, like, you guys need like hats. You guys need like
you guys commodities like things too, though. Like,
I would say so. So the Vossen store is ran by Kat, and she's very in tune with. We're very particular, and Jav, the owner of the company, we are very particular with the vendors and where the feel of the cotton is and how the product is. And we've done iPhone cases, we've done wood cases, we've done skateboards. And the second thing too is, it's collabos are important for us, right? So we've done State Bicycle Company, which is kind of dope. Nice. The Grove iPhone cases, right? Because I'm actually wearing a Novotech hat right now. So it's to me about the collaborations as well, and you're hoping people are aligned, and it's a win-win. I think there's no probably better example than what Adidas is doing right now. Oh, yeah. Right? With every collaboration, and Puma and Rihanna and things of that nature, right?
I always tolerate Ravi about trying to figure out how Supreme did it, whatever it is. And I was like, how? I was like, you gotta get that one person, like Kanye or somebody, just wear your shirt.
I always explain to people that like people don't understand that skateboarding has such an influence in streetwear, and Supreme started as a skate shop, and it's so funny to me that I got into it with somebody the other day, and they were like, oh, like, people have crappy Supreme collections, and I'm like, yo, if you don't skateboard, like, why are you even concerned with this brand? Like, I'm a core skateboarder. I came from back in when I got into skateboarding, wearing Vans wasn't cool, wearing Airwalks wasn't cool. You wore DBS, Lakais, whatever was trending, and it's so funny to me that now it's like this thing. Like, I love that they put that. I love the brand. I love Supreme.
I always, I'm older, and what disappoints me about my generation of people older than me is they're constantly crapping on young people. And they bunch millennials together and all this other stuff, and I'm like, there's so much dopeness coming from this group.
Those people don't even know the millennial age group, so it doesn't even, you know what I mean?
And like Ayo, I met you through Ayo, right? And Ayo is bugging me, and I'm older, and I'm like, really, V2lab, man, Ravi, bro, we gotta do it, or whatever. And I'm like, well, yeah, we skateboard, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I have to say, you know what? Why I'm acting like the people I don't want to be like, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And he knew you, and he knew you wanted something dope. We did his meets, right? So I think it's super important to keep your ear to the street, and it kind of goes to those meets we were talking about earlier. Like people always say, I mean, I'm at launches for Pagani one day, but the very next day I'll be at your midnight meet. You know, because you gotta balance both, and you gotta know what's going on, because you might think what's cool and what's hip and what's going on, and you're like, oh shit, that was like 3 years ago.
It's crazy. Two big points. Two big points there. I mean, as much as I hate using this word, when it comes to like just cultivating a brand and doing the car stuff, you have to be able to clearly show the lifestyle, right? A lot of the stuff you see on Instagram, I'm sorry, a lot of these car guys are not really doing everything you see on Instagram. But, you know, whether it be working on your car, going to meets and those kind of things, like, you make your brand catering towards what you do. If you guys don't work on cars, you just, you know, I don't know, but like, you know, you show that in your brand, and you gotta make sure that that's very clear. Another thing that you mentioned too, going out to meets. I personally love feedback. You know, I work for a company that, you know, thrives off of collecting feedback from customers. It's gotta be recorded. You know, so like I do the same thing with my brand. You know, if I do a bad event, you know, if someone's on the event page and they actually have a good point, and I ask them, yo, so give me the facts. Tell me why you didn't have a good time. You know, and they give me a reason. I try my best to implement it on the next event. And I think going to weekly meets, when I used to, you know, go to them a little bit more frequently, that's when you really, like, if you didn't do a good job at an event, bro, they'll let you know. Yeah, they'll let you know right there.
I used to be like a real big, like, I used to get really annoyed with people that claim that they were a part of car culture. Like they have brands, they have this, they have events, they have this and that, and they didn't build cars. If you don't have a car to show for it, like, don't talk to me. Like I mean, for the most part, I've always come from like that skateboard community. I still skate to this day. I mean, like getting older, but if you couldn't skate, you needed to get out of the way. Like it was it. Like if you weren't trying to learn, you were just holding your skateboard and dressing the part. Like people would call you a poser. Like you'd be called out for a poser, but you'd always get respect for trying. And in the car community, there's so many people that don't even try. They're like, there's dollar signs, there's dollar signs, there's dollar signs. How can I make this money? And those are the people that like, they get no love, they get no respect from the core, and they can't figure out why. You know,
I have people that I know that have built a nice car in a week. Like, why don't y'all feature that car? I was like, nah, it ain't been long enough. Like, it hasn't. It's there, but I was like, well, just leave it there and see what happens. Like, it's millions of cars in Georgia like that. But I'll be like, I see you, you know. But then there's this one dude with a regular car that's been building for years. Then I'll be like, no, look at this one. Look at this. Oh, I ain't see that one. And then we'll just wait on the other one. Like, he's there. It's fine. We'll post it up. We'll do stuff with it. But this guy, he deserves the credit. Like, at our shows, our awards are more like, I call it Grammys. You know, you kind of check them out all year, and you know they're gonna be at the show, and you say, "This is I've been watching."
So you already been judging.
Yeah, like I've been watching you all year. You may not admit today, but here, this is your award because I know you know. And then you know, in their mind, like, man, that's where I want to. I mean, that's building support for you.
That's always like the build thread car. I mean, there's so much more respect for that on the internet in general. Watching, I mean, from the YouTube perspective, watching someone grow with their vehicle and build their car piece by piece is so much more like appreciated than some dude that's got money that's like, yo, I just literally built the car overnight. Like, here
cool,
it is. I mean, it's sure. I mean, we all wish we could do it. I'd have a whole garage full of like S chassis cars, and you know what I mean, like S13s, S14s. I'd have a gang of drift cars, and we'd all go drifting. But
oh, yo, bring up drifting. You were talking about like, you know, back in the day, or even with skateboarding, like there being like you had to be accepted in the culture.
The drift community was awful.
But I heard it's getting better.
The drift community is amazing now.
Oh, I like that.
Where it was.
I like how they keep it though, because they're not gonna let.
Oh no, but
they don't let anybody.
Where drifting was in Central Florida specifically, because it's where we are. Man, like everybody reminisces of the CFRC days, like when that track was open, and that was literally the most toxic place for anybody that wanted to learn how to drive. And I'm gonna probably get shit for saying that. But like those dudes weren't cool with anybody. If you weren't in their core following or their group of friends, those dudes sucked. Like it sucked to be a part of. I mean, I remember getting into it with the dude who was running the track. I got into it with him recently when he was at the other place. But now that I've bought my own car and I'm starting to learn how to grow, I went to the track the other day, and maybe it's because I'm popular and people fear my opinion on Facebook because I'll say anything now.
They do.
I mean that's you know, maybe that has a lot to do with it, maybe like putting it out there. But when I went out and drove the other day, everybody was nice to me. Everybody was trying to give me pointers. I mean, from the dude like Tommy, who's like running the gate, like telling me to go, like, you know, pull out and do my little run. Even that dude was like, yo, you need to initiate faster. You need to throw the wheel faster. And like, I get back to the pits, they're like, oh, dude, that's fucking sick. Like, you're getting better. You're getting, you know, this, that, and third. And I really appreciate that. Back in the day, it was, exactly. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean?
Shit on Facebook.
Branding shit and not double punching.
Yo, funny you say that though. Like Joe with the Porsche, he was telling me, he was kind of giving me a little bit more insight. I mean, we were talking about, yo, why don't you get a drift car? You're telling me to get a drift car. Yeah. And I was talking to Joe, and he's like, hey man, even in Tampa, you know, that community is starting to, you know, come back out.
Without
and he said it needs a lot of work. He's like, it's getting there, but he's like, it's one of those things that you need to push. It's like an endangered species.
It's kind of the new wave because of the YouTubers.
Yeah.
The YouTubers have really put it on the forefront of like
Adam and them.
Yeah, like Adam LZ is a great example of it. And it's funny, like specifically talking about him, but like he's bringing drifting. And I think he's the most influential person, probably the most influential person right now in the drift community. Not necessarily in the core scene where like the hot boy cars and all that stuff. He's outside of that. He's actually reaching a regular demographic, like a group of kids that don't necessarily know about the car community, but they like what's happening. That dude has influence over those kids, and those dudes are coming in without the preconditioned mindset of being an asshole to people. They're coming in, they're friendly, they're coming from BMXing, they're coming from skateboarding, that community of like people wanting to help other people grow.
I'm gonna use his example. There's a guy down the street from me. He moved in, he had, I think, a Honda something. And then he stopped by my house, he looked at my car, said, yeah, I love your car, man, and that. 2 weeks later, he had a BMW that he was fixing up, and he's like, yeah. And he was like, before he even got it, he was telling me, yeah, I watched MLS's videos, I'm gonna learn to drift, this and that. And then he got the car, got it running, and then a month later, I see him come, driving around, coming from the track. And then now, the other day, I seen him, truck, trailer, car in the back. I'm just like,
that's progress.
You know what I mean? Like, that's to me, that's dope because, and he's like, the fact that he came up and talked to me, just out of the blue. Because I mean, to be honest, like me, if I'm in my garage, I am very protective. Anybody driving by, driving by, like I'm not the nicest person, approachable. So when he passed by, I was like, "What's up, man?" And he's just like, "Oh no, I'm just like your car, man." So him, like you said, being nice and being approachable and whatever else, like that's dope.
I like that.
That's also the other part of it is that those dudes they're fucking good. Like watching Adam LZ come from like, I mean, you can literally watch his progress on his videos. You go to the track and they're bombing the track. Like, I mean, they're like third gear entries everywhere. Like, I mean, in tandem trains, and like watching those guys drive is super inspirational. Like, and it makes you feel like, I mean, I don't know, he's obviously got like natural talent, and it's like he came out of nowhere. Then you watch his wife, who was like, she's getting super good. Like Nicole's awesome. Like she came from nowhere. She's like, and I mean, you talk to her, and she literally says, "This is not easy." And you're watching her on the track, and you're like, "Yo, like you're doing it." Like, so then it makes you feel like, "Wow, maybe I can do that too." And it's welcoming. You know what I mean?
I mean, to tie it all in. I mean, this conversation in regards to that. I mean, which I thank you again for having me here. I think something like this is just as resourceful as what they're doing as far as nurturing that culture. You know, we bring out these new brands. You know, and I'll go on record and say it, you know, I was one of the guys that when a new brand would come out, I'd be like, oh my God. It's like, I love driving slow. I love driving slow sometimes. I love driving fast. Like, bro, did you even think, like, did you do research? Did you like what made you think of this brand? Like, what's your purpose? You know?
But you can almost see it though. You know, like, all right, they copied it, but it ain't gonna work because they didn't do this. Just wait.
I noticed it goes back.
Go ahead.
No, it goes to me, and it goes back to the passion, right? To me, and longevity, right? Like I said, I know Joseph 10 or 15 years, and I'm sure he had many obstacles, right? Where he's like, you know what, F this, I'm not gonna do this no more, you know, whatever. But he still felt passionate about it. I'm sure everybody here feels passionate about their brand, no matter the obstacle.
I mean, I think about quitting every week.
You gotta know when you're doing at a certain level. When if somebody copies or says something crazy, and you got like 20 people like, hey, look at this. And you're like, oh,
because my wife,
and they be ready to do something like, no, I don't care.
Dude, like, you don't understand how many times I've gotten like, one of the good things that I guess keeps us relevant, keeps us, you know, doing what we do is I have a very nice circle of people around me, and they check me. Right. You know, like I have a mouth. Pause. I have, but you know, I'm saying, like, you know, when I want to say what I have to say, man, sometimes it's just like it comes out raw and uncut. And my wife, she's like, bro, don't post that.
Right.
All right. And one time I did exactly that. I listened to her. I didn't post it. And like, you have supporters. When you have supporters, like, they go in and they handle that.
Look, you just watch. Like, I'll post something. I'll post something, and one of my real life friends, like people who not in the car, I just knew since I was little, I write something, and then the car people be like, what the fuck? I'm like, yeah, what is it?
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's really instilling that lifestyle within a brand, man. And your question is like, how do you start a brand, or what's a good brand? And I think it comes down to all that. And I don't know, bro. I think what we're doing here is definitely big, because I feel like what Adam and everybody's doing with drifting, as far as being welcoming, answering questions and stuff like that, it helps that culture grow.
Right.
And with us, I was that guy, like I was saying just now, that would feel a way when a new brand popped up. But little did I know, that's what keeps this going. Like, you know, maybe they're gonna have the same issues I did, or they might learn from my mistakes and make the brand better.
I was really hyped just to see, like, I mean, the other day, like, Aggressive Finesse and Varsity Stance, two brands that have been in existence for a long period of time, but finally vended for the first time the other day.
Yeah,
I was super hyped to see them. I was like, yo, like, you're here? What's up? Like, where's your, you know? And they're like, it's like the fresh pop-up tent from like Home Depot, like the table, like, they're like, I'm talking like beginning status of like vending. And it was so cool to see. And I'm like, man, like, that's kind of almost what influenced this podcast, or like this conversation. I wanted to give some inspiration and some idea of like what goes on in like kind of like the OG's heads. Like, we've been around for like, I mean, I've been in the game for 15 plus years of doing events and going to events and going to shows. I know about things that these kids don't even like. They ask about, and they're like, yo, like, there's this weird Super Street video from like Daytona from like 2002. I'm like, yo, like, that was my like, you know, my H2O, that was my dream when I was a kid. Like, you know, it's crazy. Like, I
used to get like kind of annoyed with like, it's like a look of emo, depressed brand styles. I'm like, man, why do they all look like, you can tell when somebody gets into their style stuff. Yeah. But then I'm like, that's the style. But I was like, I don't. That's it's weird.
That almost falls into like where the anime category is of like the art culture. There's a lot of like the sadness kind of like
nobody likes
lonely drive.
I'm by myself, but I got lonely drive.
You know,
it's the next one.
You know what's funny is, you know, like, I don't think people realize where a lot of the influence comes from, like from a lot of these brands, and like where, you know how many people when I got into cars, like, you know how many people called it, had 13 Devil Car Clubs, like, and no one knows what that is now. I'm like, oh my god, that was like the greatest thing ever when I was a kid. Everybody had chameleon cars, and everybody was like trying to go like flash their high beams at each other in street race. People miss that stuff. Like, they miss that era of car culture.
That was like when we used to, like, I'm talking about meeting people and talking, like, when the guy came up to you. Yeah. Like, we used to go to a parking lot meet back in 2002, 2003. You go there, you see somebody, a car you like, go talk to them, say hey. And then y'all are like, that's it. Like, or you see somebody on the street. Or you see somebody on the street, you know, you see somebody drive, you like, look at them, what's up, pull over, talk. Y'all are like, that's it. That's how you mention people.
I've been in that situation. That hasn't happened in years. Now I wave at other BMW owners and they're like,
I mean, I'm not sure how long we can keep going with that, but getting back to shows and events, I've noticed as a vendor that the culture, I think people think sometimes they're too cool to walk over now to the vendor.
Oh, yeah.
Because they don't want to be seen as whatever.
That's a good point. Yo, because my brand is I Love Driving Slow, you'll get dudes and their girls, which I love my wife for this. Like, we set it up in a way that the girls come over first, right?
I built a pink car. I mean,
the freaking flake on the car is crazy. But anyways, the guy and the girl will be next to each other. The girl will be like, "Oh shoot, I need some sunglasses." So she walks over. She wants to see the coral. And he's like,
"Nah,
I don't drive slow." They're like, "Bro, what do you drive?" "I got a Prius."
It's I've noticed that, and that's why I think, you know, the things I said was the vibe for these shows and events. You know, you want positive vibes and people coming out, and people are happy to spend money, right? No. So I think, and I'm loving this forum, and hopefully we do it again. I think it goes back to positive attitude, right? I think we see social media reared its ugly head way too many times where people just post stupid responses. They're angry. I don't know what's going on in their life. Their pancakes are cold. I don't know what's going on. And then they go on the internet and just
beige right
you know, and I feel like it is kind of our responsibilities as OGs and kind of like, look, no, that's not the direction we want to go with this. You know what I'm saying?
So really quickly about that, like engaging people to come to your booth. Do you guys like hiring models?
Okay.
What do you look for in hiring a model? Like somebody that can engage people?
It's a good question because I'm sure I'm going to get some emails on that one now. But so Vossen, we've been very particular with our branding, right? And look, if you want to have the girls in bikinis and all that stuff, and that's your MO, that's cool. That's your thing. But that's not us, you know. So if you ever look at our videos and things, one of the things, they're always in dresses. You know, of course it's a form-fitting dress, but they're covered. It's some, you know, an OEM like a Lexus or a BMW wouldn't feel out of place visiting us. So that's one thing. And two, it's look, I'm paying you to be nice,
right,
and energetic and professional.
Yeah, don't come drunk, hungover, tired.
So don't come
looking at your phone.
Yeah. So and you're looking for people, you know. And I've worked with let me think of a good name. Carly in Canada. Carly Cakes in Canada is really good that we work with. Haven't worked with Faith Malone yet, but I can tell that, you know, it's an engaging person, and you can tell that. I always tell by the number of selfies they take, you know, and I start looking at the hashtag. And if people are posting their hashtag, I'm like, wow, they're at this event work. The best person I've ever seen work was Danny Real.
Yeah, I shot with her back in the day. Sure.
And I have never seen an event. This was in Port Fest about 3 years ago, and 12 hours of a line, bro.
Yeah.
I had never seen anything in my life like this. And this girl took a photo with every single person and was smiling the entire time, or whatever. Then we would walk back, she'd take a break. She's like, yo, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, whatever. And as soon as the door closed, you know, and that professionalism is so rare because I'm one of the few people that fired a model midweek at SEMA.
Right.
Sorry if she's watching this. But,
I'm sure she
got hammered, you know, and you're late all the time. And I'm like, yo, sorry, this isn't working. We are a professional company. Yeah, we like to have fun, whatever. But we're hiring you for a reason. No different than a security guard, right? If you're a security guard, you better be doing some goddamn security.
Right. Facts. Yeah, I mean, this actually goes in line with a question I made a post about because I had someone hit me up asking me, you know, she wants to start out as a model, like, what should she do? And I really didn't know the answer, you know, because I feel like for many years we've kind of bashed that whole facade as a model rather than, you know, like, for example, your success. You know, obviously you're, you know, a bigger company and there's an actual instilled purpose. I think a lot of these brands sometimes may either have models that just show up and give that craft a bad name, or maybe they hire models and just have them doing ridiculous stuff.
To your question, a lot of I like models that they know about our brand, and they're sometimes, again, you're not going to work with us the first time you ask, or the second time, or the 10th time. But if you're continue to ask me, I'm like, wow, I know this person's going to do a good job because they love the brand and what we're doing, and they want to be a part of that, right? And it'll help them as well. You know, they can put in their resume they work for Vossen, which is always a good thing. But yeah, engagement too. I mean, I do look at the social media numbers, etc. And you want,
if they can bring a following with them,
you want them engaged, and you want them engaged with your fans and smiling. And I can't say that enough. You know, so many models, they show up. Instagram models. I worked with a couple, and it's a big disappointment. It's a big difference between a professional import model, or whatever you want to call it, to an Instagram model who they doctor these photos perfectly, right? And they post them up. Then they come to the event and they don't know how to talk. They literally do not know how to talk to people, right? And you're like, oh, man.
I like that term, doctor the photos. We'll start using that.
But also,
doctor the photos.
Like I had the last couple of years, people were asking, "Oh, should you models to do something like that?" You know, for some reason, I don't see it fitting. It don't fit for us. Like, I don't know what, because people offer to do it a lot.
Right.
Like, and I think we tried it once, and it was somebody's girlfriend. It was just there, but it works. I mean, she was punctual, but then people always come, "Hey, where's Joseph?"
I've had that too.
Oh, where's John? You know, or they say, "Where's?" I'm like,
she has the boyfriend, and then the boyfriend is standing next to the booth
like,
the entire time. And they're like, "Yo, go get us some Zaxby's or something."
The biggest thing about vending too, man, is like if everybody's behind the booth and it looks like you're hanging out,
Right.
It doesn't look like a vending like an actual.
I
feel like you're being judged. You walk
I
in
say
the
that
back.
all the time. Like, yo, you need to have somebody standing at the front greeting every single person that walks up. Like, you
Yeah,
treat it like
yeah,
you're working at the store.
She just sitting in a chair like, hey, I'm modeling. Like, nah.
You know, like back in like this is like ancient times. I worked at Universal Studios, and like one of the things they taught you was to acknowledge people at 10 feet, say hi at 5 feet, and you always. And I do that now. Like, I see you coming, I'm like, what's up? And like, it means so much more to acknowledge somebody to their face, even if they get awkward. They're like. By the time they walk by, they're like,
at least talk on.
what's up? Like, they'll click to them that they should have said something or whatever, but it means a lot to, like, just acknowledge people.
You'll get, I mean, that's why I'm a salesman all day at work. That's my job. But, like, you'll get people said, oh, they walking by, you're like, what's up? They'll be like, hey, what's up? They'll just wander over there, and they'll just buy a bag of stuff, and then they'll be like, what's this? What's that? And they'll just buy it just because they like cars. Like, that's me. Like, yesterday I was at the race, and dude looked at me, I looked at him, and I just wandered over there and I bought a Porsche shirt. I don't even have a Porsche. Like, it's good.
That's true. It makes a big difference. I think I always tell people that, okay, social media is great and it's a great exercise. You cannot solely rely on it.
Right.
You have to know the face-to-faces. You gotta know how to shake people's hands. You gotta look people in the eye. These are soft skills that are being lost and they're not being taught. And you know, sometimes, unfortunately, you might have to teach yourself and do some, but it makes all the difference, you know, a lot of times to somebody when you meet them. And look, even if it doesn't work out, it probably, in the long run, makes sense. Like, look, I met this person, we didn't work together, I'm glad I found that out now. Yeah. Then we met on email, we agreed to something, and then now, 6 months later, I'm like, oh my God, this is a disaster.
Right. Well, like what Roscoe said, you get people that put the face in front of your business. Like, that's why people say you should have more people, hire people to help. Say, I'm gonna hire. Who's gonna pay him? First, who's gonna pay him? But then it's like, well, this is like a break hobby. Yeah, it's stuff we do. Like I mean, we're not. It's weird. I don't want to I'm clocking going to work.
You should ask them if they did it by one of your t-shirts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's weird because you don't want somebody who doesn't know what this is. Like, dude came to me up at Riverside and said, "What's SouthrnFresh?" I was like, "I don't know, blah blah blah." Gave him the spiel, and then he said, "Y'all sponsor." I said, and I gave him a sticker. I was like, "Here." I was like,
"You sponsor."
Like, I just bought my stuff.
You know, I just bought this myself.
I gave him a sticker. I gave him a sticker. I said, "There you go. Like, you sponsor."
Good. So, like, I guess, like, you know, rounding it out, I had a good, like, kind of final question, kind of putting it together because it ties perfectly into this. We're getting to a point now with YouTube and like even this situation right here. I literally put your faces to your brands. Like that's what happened with this situation. There might not be people who even knew that you own SouthrnFresh, you own Swerv, you know, you were running Vossen stuff and you own like I was running Slow. Do you feel that's more important now as the YouTube and the Instagram and stuff to be more personal as opposed to just behind a brand? Like, because I feel like people are growing faster now saying that you're the, you know, like I'm Ravi now, like everybody, like, I mean, I never even said my own name on my own video, but like, I'm Ravi and you follow Ravi, you don't follow V2lab anymore. You're not like a V2lab supporter, you're not team V2lab, you're just, hey, like, I really like what you do as a person, and now I want to support your brands or whatever you're selling.
I like to keep it, I like to be Joseph here, SouthrnFresh over there, because honestly, I'm not the, like Roscoe, I don't like stickers on my car. I'm not a slam car person. I hate saying it. I don't even like, personally, I almost don't even like to say the word stance. But it is what it is. That's what people like. Like, it looks cool. But, you know, I don't, you know, my car doesn't look like that. You know, I still have my core, what I want my car to look like. But if somebody wants to see like Lexus with the slam looking crazy, it looks dope. I'll post it. People like it. I like everything. I like a Pinto from a top fuel drag car. You know, but it's you know, you always want to have the middle. But
yeah, I've noticed the difference at Vossen, right? So Vossen, you're a privately owned company. The owner's 35, like a really young, good guy, really cool. But he's behind the scenes. He does not like the camera or whatever. He's allowed me to kind of do that at Vossen.
Most people think Mike owns Vossen.
Yeah, I know, and I'm like, no, I really don't. So there's a comfort level with that too. If you don't own something, and you have somebody else doing it, right?
There has to be that medium.
Yeah, because there's that relationship and comfort level. We've always, Jav's been great, and that's been good. But we both have noticed and talked about it. Like our YouTube views are down, and we do feel it's because people are watching. They don't want to watch the brand.
Right, they want to watch.
They want to watch a person, and they want to connect with Mike.
When Mike's out of town, you know. when Mike's not, you just see the product moving, the wheels, no video. But when Mike's is like, hey, it's Mike and Vossen. I'm here live and I'm watching it. You know? Yeah. If I want to see wheels, I go to the website.
Yeah. So we do, and I think people, and I'm noticing that with the relationships that I developed over the years, and probably you guys too. Like when somebody switches to another company, you're more apt to give that company a chance because you believe in your friend or your person.
Yeah.
You're like, you know what? Yeah, and then you stop using the product. Maybe sometimes of that, because you're like, this is who I believe in. This is more so than the brand. So I think companies are having, I mean, especially large corporations, right? Imagine a challenge of people prefer to trust the employee than the brand, right? So it's it's still a gray area, I think, but I love what I've been seeing from a lot of people, and I think they're learning to manage both.
That used to be back in the day, like people used to say, I could fire you and replace you.
Right.
And the brand still exists. And now it's becoming, I only come for X, Y, or Z person, and I don't come for your brand. I'm here for that guy's service, or whatever it is. I think we're getting to a different place now. You know what I mean? We're getting to I think personally, like there's that turn now with, literally with YouTube again. Like I've been promoting YouTube as like a whole. Like I really think because of that medium, people are getting really in tune with that individual person and saying like, I really relate to what this guy's. I mean, I've had people follow me just for my E46. And what's funny is like, I didn't mean to mod that car. And like people are like, why didn't you buy an M3? I'm like, I didn't know that this was going to happen. But like, it got to that point because of like, you know, just wanting to mod, wanting to drive, wanting to drift, whatever. And it got kind of weird. Like it just ended up being like
social media.
One of those things, yeah. Like,
we're doing this.
It just ended up being one of those things where people relate to the brand, they relate to the car because that's what they have, and they're like, well, now I'm attached to you because I have the same kind of thing. Like, I want to be a part of this, like sick. Like, I want to be a part of your journey. I want to live vicariously through you, what you're doing. And they like, that's how they follow along. They're like, oh man, like, you did angle mods. Oh, one day I'll be able to afford $1,500 worth of controller.
I think people are learning that we watch. Use LeBron James' example. Michael Jordan is probably the best example of endorsements, right? And people, whatever he was on, people switched to, right? So I think there's a new generation of entrepreneurs that realize the value in who they are and their influence. And they're like, you know what? I do have a lot of say, and people believe my word and my product, and I am like a mini celebrity to that extent, right? Like an influencer, and that needs to be valued.
I mean, now people are real celebrities.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this. I feel like, just based on what you were talking about earlier, you feel like everyone knocks the millennials. That's really a page out of their book. They're the ones that are making millions of dollars on YouTube and whatnot. So it's like no one wants to be the Kodak of their brand, or their brand to be the Kodak. So everyone's moving to digital cameras. Like we're not necessarily following the wave, but we're cultivating our own path of that new wave. You know what I mean? And I think that as a business that wants to be around, you know, that wants to, you know, last or have time, like you have to, like you know, like you said, you're doing with Vossen, you're putting yourself out there, and you know, now you're building your brand, but at the same time, it's carrying the load of the brand, which is pretty much your title. That's the majority of what you do with your job. So like, when I started to do the behind the brand with ILDS, the way I was looking at it is, you know, I'll spend like most of the year planning an event, and people just come to the event. That's it. They don't know what it really took for me to really get to that point. And I think, you know, showing them that, yo, I'm the one screen printing the Fresh 100 shirts. Like, I'm in there, you know, pushing squeegees. Like, because I want to be able to give out shirts at my events and things like that. You know, and I think, you know, that right there would, you know, have a fan now really say, like you say, support the...
Yeah, now it feels personal, too. Now they know that you made the shirt that they're wearing physically. You know what I mean? Like,
and, you know, I like young entrepreneurs, too. Like, I got off that wave when I saw new brands and knocked them. You know, I like the fact that I can give you the same tools and you can build something different. You know? So,
I guess we got to wrap up.
You can already,
So, I guess we'll just wrap it up here, man. Like,
before I say one thing real quick.
We're leaving in 15 minutes.
That's okay.
Thank you, love.
Getting kicked out soon.
Say one thing real quick. So back to the last question you were saying about the face behind the brand. Going to like meets and talking to people, like I feel somebody who I don't like introduce myself as I'm owner of Swerv. I'm just Daniel. Like, hey, Daniel this, Daniel that, whatever. But then people like Ravi be like, hey, this is Daniel, the owner of Swerv. Like, I feel like
I like that.
I put some importance to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah,
I feel like
clout.
your friends around you who mention your name to people, it helps. Like, oh, okay, you know, oh, Jack, I've seen your stickers around, et cetera, et cetera. Like, I feel like your brand will speak for itself sometimes through other people, and I take that dare to heart because that means people believe in what I'm doing. People believe in what's going on.
If I introduce you as the owner of something, it's because I'm proud of you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm already, like, I represent you.
You'll see somebody.
I got what you're saying.
You see that face change.
Yeah.
I get exactly.
Can I see a sponsor request?
No, real quick. I get what he's saying. Like we're planning an event. They were like, "Yo, hit up the news station." I'm like, "No." I'm like, "I'm gonna do a banging ass event to where the news station gotta hit me up."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the way I go with the brand, because if I have to go out there and market it on a very, in my opinion, backwards level, like then it gets tired. But if it has its own energy and it's building itself up to that, then I'm with that. So I do say, hey, I'm ILDS Ross, or I know I'm the owner of ILDS Drive Slow, but I don't know. My friends, I do agree, they promote it better than I would.
I mean, I'm my whole brand.
Yeah.
Jay-Z said it best, right? He's not a businessman. He's a businessman.
My girlfriend runs all the booths and everything like that, but like for 99% of what goes on the internet and everything, it's just me like promoting to you, like, hey, like, please believe in me. Please support what I'm doing. Like, I really don't want to be broke. And
like, I like to be in the same middle, but it probably would be best for me to be more one. But I don't know. I like to set it up and just look and watch it, and then stay. You know, but I want to be there with it. Like if somebody says something fresh, I'll step up. Like, what's up, me, whatever. And most people know.
I think me owning it, like talking about it and being it kind of throws a message. It gives more backbone to the message. Otherwise, it's a message. But like when I'm like pushing it like hard, then I see that being beneficial. Like you're saying, I can see people take it serious.
Be careful who represents you, though. Yeah. Because you can't be back and just have all these fools running around.
I mean, I ran into that problem a long time ago with bad representation from team members, basically.
Team V2lab.
Yeah, I mean, essentially what happened was we were just accepting anybody that thought had a nice car. And that wasn't people that really even believed in me. They were just trying to see like how far that I could promote them. Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't mutual. It wasn't a two-way street. So I mean, that also falls back on you need to be careful who represents you.
That's very true.
You know what I mean? Like, even it's just, and that's also what comes along with selling like a high-tier product. You sell it to a higher-tier customer, and you don't get the negative reaction from like people who associate your brand with someone doing something stupid. You know,
it's like using your resources. Like me and Mike, same thing. Like I know somebody who said, "Man, I need wheels." I'm like, "Shit, man." Like, well, let me see, Mike, what do you think of this car? Oh, it's nice. But I'm like, I know this person might not live up to the obligations. What needs to be done?
Oh no,
they're not. It's like trying to get your friend a job. He's like, nah, we ain't hiring. Like, nah. That's it. You don't want to ruin. Because I don't have these nice cars to take advantage of these opportunities. But if I see it, I'd be like, hey, a friend who can do it. I'd be like, look, I have this car that can do it, and then I'll connect the dots, and it's gone. You know. But if they can't do it, I was like, I don't know.
There's plenty. You can't vouch for everybody.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
It doesn't work.
I mean, wait, I think you're the one who has the saying, you can't play video games with everybody. You can't vouch for everybody.
It don't work.
It just doesn't work.
But I can't finish you right now, man.
You know what I mean? Like,
I'm playing with these dudes.
It's a lot of people. It's a lot of people that just don't hold the team down. Like they can't hold their base, and you just can't have it. Yeah, right. See you on PUBG. You know what I mean? Sorry, Fortnite players, but we're here. But yeah, I mean, I guess I guess we should wrap it up because we're gonna keep. So Mike's already on his phone texting people. Messed up. No. Anyway, so yeah, I guess we're just gonna wrap it up. I mean, if you have any questions, comments, or anything that you want to ask or you want some insight into, and if you enjoyed the podcast, let us know. And we want to do more. I want to do more of this. I want to kind of get more conversations going, stuff like that. If you have ideas or anything that you feel like needs to be discussed or wants to be discussed, you want me to talk to somebody specific that you think I know or might know or I'm probably already friends with on Facebook. So let me know. And all of their information is going to be linked in the description to their social media, who they are, where they came from, all of the whole 9 yards. So, all right. See you guys later.
Peace.